Okay, let's go ahead and look at slope. And I'm doing the Delta Math virtual worksheet. Okay, and we are going to look at rise over run. That is the rise, how far you go up and down. That's like the Y, right? If you ever forget, just look at your graph. X is left and right. You can see it's labeled here. The Y-axis is up and down. So we have the vertical change over the horizontal change. In other words, Y over X. So you're going to look at and I'm going to use a symbol here. Don't get freaked out because I just don't want to write the word change. Change in Y over change in X. That's called delta Y over delta X. It's just like a shortcut so that I don't have to write the word change or subtracting the Y's over subtracting the X's. Okay, so here's why I like delta math. You need to find some points, 2 points, any two, but the closest two will be easiest. So I'm going to select this one right here just because I noticed it first. Boom. And I'm hovering. Do you see how that is not on the blue line? So I need to find, that's close, but do not click there. You can see the difference, yes? You got to find what, there we go. This is my plan. Okay, so I'm going to go up and then I'll go to the right to get to that location. So here we go. I already have this clicked and I'm going to represent the rise by going up and I'm going to click to create a segment. And then I'm going to click to create another segment and it should connect. It will make a right triangle where the hypotenuse is the blue line. Okay, so rise is vertical change, run is horizontal. We want the change in Y's over the change in X's. So we need to do the rise first. This is why we say rise over run. It just helps us remember because when you rise in the morning, you get up. When the bread rises in the oven, it's going up, right? It's fluffing up as it bakes. Okay, when you run, it's not a jump, right? We're not going up and down. We're going left and right. We're just running on the ground. All right, so that's how it will help you remember to do the Y's vertical first. So how far did I rise? We went 1, 2, 3. You're counting, okay? Be careful that you are counting only intersection points at the center of each cross. Yes, a cross has a perfect intersection in the middle. So we're essentially hopping, okay, as we jump over the space and we land on the intersection point. So here I am at -6 and I'm going to go all the way up to -1. What is the difference or what's the change from -6 to -1? See if you can guess. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, that last one was kind of swoopy, but I went up 5. When we go up, we will call it positive. When we go down on a graph, it will be negative. That makes sense. It's pretty intuitive. So we're going to go up 5. My rise is +5. All right, let's look at run. We're going to run 1, 2, 3, and we're there. Oops. My mouse went a little crazy there, but we need to stop right on that point. We went to the right 3. When you go to the right on a graph, it's positive, right? It's getting larger and larger as you go to the right. You're moving towards larger positive numbers. So positive is to the right. What if we went to the left? We're getting smaller and smaller. You know, if we're facing to the right, since graphs are red, left to right, right? We should be moving to the right. If you move to the left, it's backwards, okay? Or it's towards the negatives. So I went up 5, that's positive. I went right 3, that's also positive. So 5 over 3 is my answer for my slope. We like fractions, but if you can simplify it, we want to simplify it. Okay, this one cannot simplify because 5 and 3, there's nothing that they both divide by. So we're done here. If you want to check it, you can check it. You go to your calculator and you do 5 divided by 3. It always gives you a decimal, but you can go to math, enter, enter. And oh, it gave me 5/3. That means it was already simplified. There was nothing I could do. If you put like 12/-4 in, okay, it'll tell you that it will simplify. If you do, let's say, -3/12. Put that in. Oh, I get a decimal. I don't want a decimal. They want a fraction for slope. So if you need a fraction, go to math, enter, enter, right? If it's just a whole number, like 3, then that's your answer. You don't have to write it as a fraction. But if it's a decimal, you do need to convert it to a fraction, and we can do that by going to math, enter, enter, and it will convert it for us. Okay, so the answer here is 5/3. So you drew the rise and the run, and now we're just going to type our answer in down here, 5/3. Okay, it'll always show you a picture and everything like that so you can see. All right, let's do another one. So I'm going to locate 2 points. Just kind of hover. Oh, there's one. I'll use that. And then we're going to go till we see one that we can click right here. All right, so this is my plan. So I'm going to go up to represent the vertical change, which is the change in y. And I am going to go left to represent the horizontal change, which is the change in the x values. So rise over run. So now we just need to count. Oops, I'm trying to zoom in here. Okay. All right, so we are going to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, I went up 5. Oh, I can't draw on the graph. Hold on. 5. No, it's not letting me draw. Okay, that's fine. Hopefully you can see this okay. So we went up 5. Up is positive. And then we are going to go to the left. So we're going to have a negative number or a negative change. So we're going to go backward 1, 2. Okay. So 5 divided by a -2 is a -5/2. When you have a negative in the denominator or in the numerator, you can just put it out front and say, okay, the answer is negative, right? If we had 2 negatives, it would make a positive, right? So just one negative, our answer is going to be negative. And it's already simplified because 5 and 2, we can't divide them by anything in common. 5 is prime, 2 is prime. All right, so -5 divided by 2 is a -5/2. That's my answer. Yes, it is. All right, let me do another one. Okay, so I'm locating some points on the graph. Here's one. Here's another one. Okay, so that's my plan. I'm going to do a rise and then click a run. So it looks like I went up 2. I want to, this would be on my scratch paper, but I'm drawing what would be on my scratch paper for you. Up 2, so that rise is positive. Now my run is the change in x values. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, did we go right or left? We went to the right, so that's positive. The way you can double check, imagine slope dude, a little skier guy. He's going up the mountain as we go to the right. So he's going to increase, which would be a positive slope. So this makes sense to me to have a positive 2/6. I can reduce these by dividing by 2. So here is my final answer, 1/3. If you want to check yourself, go to your calculator and just do 2 divided by 6. It always gives you a decimal. You're going to go to math, enter, enter, and it will tell you that 2/6 is 1/3 simplified. So you can always check yourself before you put that answer in. So 1 over 3, 1/3. Okay, let me show you the next section. Just needed an example here. This is when it's not on a graph and they've just written down 2 points. You could put these on a graph if you have some graph paper, plot those 2 points and then do rise over run. But there is a faster way and we can use the slope formula. Let me show you because it's written pretty. Here is the slope formula. It's the rise is the change in the y's. That means we subtract 2 y values. The run is the change in the x's. So we want to look at x's and y's. Ordered pairs are written in alphabetical order. So we want the y values to be on top. So I'm just going to highlight those. Okay, we're going to subtract these. So I'm going to pull this up so we can see. Hopefully you can see this on my calculator. So what we're going to do is just need a little bit more so you can see the calculator, hopefully. Okay, here's the point. So we need to take the y values and subtract them. So the y values are the second one listed. So we're going to take the 3 and we'll subtract the 6. Could you do 6 minus 3? Yes, but then you have to do -1 minus 14. You just need to be consistent. I'm going to just do the formula, and I'll show you in your calculator how you can kind of keep track here. So we need to do 3, and we're going to subtract the 6. This needs to just really be over. Killing me. There we go. All right. 3 minus 6. Okay, so that's the change in the y's, which would represent the change vertically on the graph up and down. Now we need the change in the x values. So the x, they have it in green here in Delta Math. So we have the 14 and the -1. So we need to take 14 and be so careful. We are subtracting whatever is there, and what's there is a negative. So take a look at your calculator. It should be 14 minus a -1. So I have it in the calculator. It's also written here. And so we see that 3 minus 6 is a -3. 14 minus a -1 is 15. So the calculator or mental math, you're going to simplify that. So our answer is -3 over 15. Well, that reduces. -3 over 15. You can hit math, enter, enter, and it's a -1/5. Why is it a -1/5? Because they both divide by 3. 3 divided by 3, 1. 15 divided by 3, 5. We just want to divide by the same common factor and simplify it. Okay, let's do another one. Okay. So I'm going to highlight the y's because that's how we start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 7 and I'm going to subtract the 8. If it helps you keep track, because you have to be consistent. Like if I start with the 7 and subtract the 8, math is all about consistency, predictability, rules. So if I go right to left, then you need to start with the -9 to subtract the 6. So make sure you're going in the same direction when you're doing your subtracting. So I did 7 minus 8. So now I'm going to subtract these. I'll just circle them in black here. All right, so now I'm going to subtract a -6. So you can pull up your calculator and do this in your calculator, right? We can do 7 minus 8 in our calculator, and then we can do -9 minus a -6. And we will get -1 over a -3. What do two negatives make? A positive, right? A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I can already tell my answer is 1/3. Okay, but in your calculator, if you want to check yourself, you just take your change in y's, -1, and divide it by the change in x's, -3. And it gives you a decimal. You're going to hit math, enter, enter to double check that it is a positive. Two negatives will make a positive. So my answer is 1/3 on this one. 1/3. Want one more? Okay. I need to do the change in y's to represent the rise. And then I'll do the change in x's. I'm just circling them so that my brain can make sure to do the right ones. Okay, so if you want the formula, here it is. We subtract the y's, we subtract the x's, then divide. Okay, and really we write it as a fraction, so sometimes it's already simplified. Sometimes you're just done once you subtract. Sometimes you need to go ahead and simplify it. So let's go ahead and we're gonna subtract the yellow. So we're gonna do -9 and we're gonna subtract a -5. Then we're gonna, this is crazy because there's 9s and 5s. I don't really like this one, but that's okay. I did what's in yellow, okay? Subtracted them. Then I'm going to do the black circles, okay? So it's -1 minus a -9. I subtracted what was circled, which are the x values. So make sure you do the y's on top, x's on bottom, and you're just subtracting. These two negatives make a positive. So we have -9 plus 5. -9 plus 5 is a -4. These two negatives make a positive. So I have 9 minus 1, 8. So we should have a -4/8, which is -1/2. So let's check it in the calculator and make sure we're on the right track. We're going to do -9 minus a -5. Yes, -4. Good. -1 minus a -9. An 8. Okay, great. -4 over 8 is -0.5. If I need a fraction, which I do, math, enter, enter. So we'll have -1 over 2 as our final answer. So the answer here is -1 over 2. Okay, here's the pretty version. Subtract the y's, subtract the x's, then divide. So different colors or circling helps. So your brain can focus on just subtracting. So here it is worked out. And actually from here, you would probably just do it in your calculator and it would tell you your answer. You just need to make sure and you plug it in and subtract in the same order. So if you start with this blue one to subtract the -5, then make sure you start with that same point for the x's, -1 minus a -9. Just make sure you're subtracting in the same order. I hope that helped. Please come in if you need further help.